Iggy Azalea was in the news today for a couple of tweets she made regarding what Azealia Banks said on Hot 97 a couple days ago. Here's the clip.
When they give those awards out, because the Grammys are supposed to be like accolades for artistic excellence, you get what I mean? Iggy Azalea is not excellent, you know? And the message I see when I see these Grammys being given out, like these, because it's bigger than just like playing the shit on the radio and I don't give a fuck, you know what I mean? Like, that's fine, bitch. Like, do what you're gonna do. But I have a problem when you're trying to like say that it's hip hop and you're trying to like put it like up against black culture, trying to smudge out, you know what I mean? It's like you're trying to like, it's like a cultural smudging was what I see. And when they give these Grammys out, all it says to white kids is like, oh yeah, you're great, you're amazing, you can do whatever you put your mind to. And it says to black kids, you don't have shit, you don't own shit, not even the shit you created for yourself. And it makes me upset. Now everybody knows that like the basis of modern capitalism is like slave labor, like really just like the selling and trading of these slaves. Like they're fucking like huge corporations that are still like, you know, caking off that slave money and shit like that.
The entire country.
Right. So until y'all motherfuckers are ready to talk about what y'all owe me, whether the number 7 trillion or 8 trillion or 9 trillion, at the very fucking least, y'all owe me the right to my fucking identity and to not exploit that shit. You get what I'm saying? Like, that's all we're like holding on to, like hip hop and rap and like Bill Cosby or whatever the fuck it is. Like, that shit is fucking like too timely. That's too timely that like you have like Eric Garner and Mike Brown and like Trayvon Martin and y'all fucking talking about Bill Cosby. Like, what the fuck? What does that have to do with? And y'all putting that shit on like TV for the kids to see, like for the youth to fucking see. You know, and it's happening like back to back to back to back to back. And I get it, you know, it's like, all right, whatever, like, you know, we're gonna march, we're gonna do this, but like, no, we really have to talk about this.
After the video was released, Amethyst Amelia Kelly then retaliated by attacking her attitude and pulling the race card, among other things. This received press from the activism group Anonymous, who threatened to release her sex tape and threatened MTV as well if she didn't apologize for her statements that apparently disrespected Michael Brown and Eric Gardner's memory, and also rescind her statements as well. Now, the things that Azealia Banks said in her spiel, I don't agree with all the way. However, she makes several points that are worthy of observation. First of all, even if hip-hop was started by African Americans, it is a form of music, and music is expression. Therefore, just because it was started by blacks doesn't mean that blacks own the genre. Hip-hop isn't ours. That would be equivalent to the classical music community being outraged that there is a black composer because the blacks didn't invent classical music. That's just ridiculous. The argument I believe she makes later on in the clip is that black culture is under siege since we have the death of Michael Brown and Eric Gardner and the attempts at dismantling Cosby's image, which I actually agree with. The recent events, along with Iggy Azalea, are good examples of how black culture is beginning to be increasingly disrespected in society. Notice how I said increasingly. She started to get emotional when she mentions that everything that black Americans were erased by whites, which is not an inaccurate statement. Black Americans had their history stripped from them, and African Americans had their, and not African Americans, Africans during the African Scramble had their land, their livestock, their resources, their way of life, their history stolen from them via imperialism. And with that kind of history, it makes sense it makes sense to be angry. She states that she feels that hip-hop is something that black Americans use to have something to hold on to. And that is definitely respectable. It's definitely something to be proud of. It's an art form, and it's used as a coping mechanism. It's kind of used as something that they can use. It's something that they can be proud of, something that they created. I absolutely am for that. Rap music is a great genre. I like some of it. I will say that just because a white person starts rapping, that doesn't mean that they are stealing the culture away from you, as I said in a previous statement. here is my main problem with Iggy Azalea. Hip-hop, like every genre, has some problems. Like, for example, Bobby Shmurda. Everybody catching bullet holes. Niggas got me on my bully, yo. I'ma run out, put that gun on. Who produces horrid lyrics in his records. And I believe he hurts hip-hop. The way people like Shmurda participate in rap music actually reveals some of its biggest flaws. Not only that, but hip-hop originally was an art form. It was about being real. It was about talking about the struggle. And no, gangster rappers aren't always from the hood or anything like that, but they often portrayed the struggle and often articulated the inner and outer difficulties that were experienced by the person. Which is why I dislike rappers like Nicki Minaj, Drake, Rick Ross, Lil Wayne, people who just embody everything that rap is not about, which is they rap about drinking, they rap about women, they rap about money, gold chains, fancy cars, clubs, popping bottles, you know, and it's in booties, and all of that is not really real at all. No one really lives that lifestyle, and it's not relatable. It's trashy, to be honest, in my opinion. But here's my criticism of Iggy Azalea. She is Australian. She's lived in the suburbs in a city in Australia after listening to a rap record. She decided to leave her nice lifestyle, go live in the South in the US, in Georgia, I think, I'm not sure. This way she can imitate her favorite rappers and her favorite hip-hop artists. That's literally what she did. She took the accent of black Southerners and she used it in her records. Totally contradictory with her own accent. Clip here.
Once I got to Miami, I already had a couple of $1,000s saved, and that lasted me about 6 months, and by then I had friends and new people, and I would clean for different people and get cash.
It all begins, go from doubts to having the thought it might work. It goes up and down and then it starts again. And when I reminisce sometimes
and began talking about stupid, irrelevant subject matter just like Nicki Minaj and Drake. And better yet, shakes her butt on virtually every media outlet in existence. If you didn't catch that, and if you don't know what was wrong, which would be astounding if you didn't, is that she is taunting black culture. Her existence is proof that she figured out the formula to appeal to the current rap audience, and there must have been some sort of checklist. A. Big booty. B. Talk about irrelevant things. C. Have a black accent. Therefore, done. Now she's popular. She figured out what she needs to do to be popular in this industry. And so Miss IGGY is now, who's aka the realest, is now the absolute most fake person in the rap music industry, who's basically saying, if you were to subtly summarize what she's trying to say through her career, is that this is how you blacks are acting in hip-hop. Wow, this is so easy to do. That is basically what she's saying through her existence and her presence in hip-hop. That is my problem with Iggy Azalea. Now, do not misunderstand me when I say this, because my favorite rapper is Eminem, pre-2004, and he is Caucasian. But the difference is that he talked about relevant subject matter, first of all. Second of all, he didn't exploit black culture. He talked about the things that mattered to him. He talked about social issues also. He didn't talk about like drinking and women, at least not all the time. He also didn't use a different accent. That was his own accent. So he was being completely real in that regard. So don't try to equivocate Iggy and other rappers, because Iggy is definitely in her own category. She is something that is totally different from other rappers, white and black. Anyways, if you get the chance, go and see the clip by Azealia Banks on Hot 97. I'll leave the link in the description below. But let me know what you think on this topic. It's obviously controversial, and so I'd like to know your opinions. I'm definitely willing to change my opinions if I see a reason to, but this is what I feel about Iggy Azalea, and my problem with her channel. So, yeah, until then, yeah.